I mean, it's been a long time and it feels like it's been forever since we've seen Oilers hockey. So
Right, right. Even to familiarize yourself with the standings is a funny exercise of
yeah,
I haven't looked at these in 3 weeks. Yeah. Well, I guess
but
they haven't gone anywhere, but
Against Morgan Riley. McDavid, what a move! What a play! What a goal! Hansky works it in across the line, cutting in on goal, he scores! He just ate up Robin Revere for dinner. Smith, 3 clubbing right hand talent, big right-handed shot from Mike Smith. McDavid scores! Game winner! Series winner!
welcome everybody to another episode of the TORP, the Oil Rig podcast. Go TORP. We took a little hiatus along with the players of the Oilers during the Olympic break, well, with the exception of 3 of them. And now the season's starting back up, so we're starting back up as well. But I think maybe we do need to talk about the Olympics a little bit, Greg, although, that was I don't want to say devastating finish, but it was definitely hurt.
Yes. Hello to oil country. We got so definitely some Olympic talk to come to discuss today, but also getting back on track to the season. I think it's only 25 games left or whatever it is. Not much time. I mean, we'll be trade deadline just coming up around the corner, so definitely lots to talk to, lots of storylines to get back on familiar with. It's been a long break, actually.
It's crazy. Nothing's changed over those 2 weeks. Who would have thought?
I know. What are we gonna say? I mean, sometimes distance can make the heart grow fonder, can make you reevaluate some things, can definitely maybe cool down some of the. I mean, we went into the break on a big skid, and there's some big comments coming out, and lots of goaltending is back in the conversation. There's so much going on.
Yeah, I think the break was good. I think for everyone's mental health, both on the Oilers and in the fan base, because my God, it was spicy at best, toxic at worst. I would say was something that was out there. So hopefully now with the 3 weeks almost, everyone's taking that rest. Hopefully the Oilers have taken that rest and reset a little bit.
Right. I mean, for some teams, they were rolling. The reset is probably a bad thing. For other teams like the Oilers who are on a skid, maybe a good thing, but also the Oilers notoriously coming out of the gate slow. Do you think they can avoid the?
I mean, the interesting thing is normally they come out of the gates slow, and it's looks even worse because they went into the gates. They went into the break or whatever. Right. I don't think that's a real saying, but they went into the break pretty hot, and so it just becomes more of a disappointment, right? And so I wonder if in this case where they came in on a skid in a condensed schedule season, let's be frank, they were probably looking ahead, looking at the break, whether it was the players playing in the games or the players who were just looking to the vacation. I mean, I don't know, I'm speculating and whatever, but there's that possibility that they're just playing to get to the break. So maybe now they buck the trend of not being so great out of the break, but I could just be, delusional.
Yeah. No, I mean, who knows? I mean, it's a lot of armchair psychology going on.
Hey, listen, I have 3 years of a bachelor's psych. Okay,
watch out. It's all right. It's more than most of us.
I mean, looking at it though, so McDavid's coming back for the first game, which I'm shocked about. I thought they'd want to sit him for a game or 2. I mean, just travel alone and rest and everything. But I mean, do you think if Canada wins the gold, he doesn't necessarily start playing right away? Do you think it's a way for him to push it out of his mind or get back into the flow or something? Or do you think he's going to play regardless?
Yeah, I think he's going to play either way. For me, the break is mostly just that the taped fingers. If that was going to continue to linger or risk getting re-aggravated, I think we saw in the gold medal game, it was kind of like a playoff kind of level of health for the players where there's a lot of people definitely who might not play on a regular season Tuesday that were in that game, you know? But yeah, I guess like he's McDavid for a reason. Like he's always pushing the envelope. So
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. And, you know, if he's going, like, I'm assuming that there's like not a chance that it's going to re-affect his injury negatively or whatever that hand is.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Do you know more about that than I do?
I know they're going to keep that kind of mug. Like, I haven't heard anything. I don't even think in terms of, from what I know, the discussion that I had seen or whatever about him not playing the games, it wasn't because of injury. It was just give him a break after playing for the 2 weeks, coming over from Italy and stuff like that,
right,
and having to play. Because he just flew in, I think, to Anaheim like yesterday. Right. So like the day before the game. So I think that's what the conversation was about. It was just more, you know, that kind of stuff rather than injury.
Yeah. You know, if he was a fourth liner, maybe like might go into the decision, but it's McDavid. Like clearly he wants to go. So who's going to stop him? You know?
Yeah. Like you said, there's only so many games left and the Oilers are still in a dogfight. So
right.
I guess every point matters. You can't, you know,
take it for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because the Pacific is kind of like not the best performing division this year.
Yeah.
So this, like, they're so close to, they have a shot at finishing first. They have also a shot of like the wild card spots aren't that far behind them. So, I mean, yeah, it's no messing around. We're back, and maybe a lot of people are kind of speculating like, just visually, it's going to be a bit of a letdown from seeing the Olympic hockey now back to the game. But I think like the intensity is going to be high. You know, lots of players are going to be rested. So I don't know if I think we're like back into the frying pan here. Like, it's going to be, it's no easing into it, you know?
No, definitely not. And I mean, like you said, the deadline comes up, like it's next Friday, right? Like the 6th.
Right.
So if there's not much time, pressure is going to be on for everyone in this time. So, I mean, yeah, it's the stretch run right now. So it'll still be good hockey, I think. But I mean, the Olympics, it was nice seeing that again for the first time in 12 years.
Obviously, like, depending on which team you were cheering for, maybe you were hoping for a different outcome. But yeah, it's obviously, it's glorious to see, like, we talked about it a lot, like seeing Draisaitl on Team Germany, seeing Switzerland with maybe their best team in a while. Like, it's always a pleasure to see, like, best on best hockey. So we shouldn't take that for granted.
No,
regardless of how it goes. Yeah.
And like you got the like Slovakia winning the division. I'm pretty sure if you had put money on that before the tournament started, you probably would have won some money there.
Right. For sure. For sure. But maybe like if you want to go, like, the trade deadline's coming up, maybe we can have a little back and forth, because I think we might disagree on what maybe the Oilers' biggest needs are heading in now. I mean, we could try to rank them like top needs, or we could just go through position by position, forwards, defense, goalie, and talk about the state of the union a little bit, you know?
Sure, we can do either. I mean, what I will say is I think the most obvious thing is we just need to get Macklin Celebrini to play with McDavid.
Yeah. Of course. Do you think they like Janmark or Frederick better?
I mean, it would be tough to part with either of those guys, but, you know, for the purposes of making a fair deal, we can easily send over both of them and a third round pick.
Make it a little sweetener. Exactly. No. Well, luckily, you know, it'll be nice to Nuge and Hyman back with McDavid. Yeah. They also have good chemistry. I'm not too worried about that.
No, of course. But I don't know. Yeah. But I mean, if you were to say then, I guess, if you were the GM of the Oilers going to this trade deadline and you were like, okay, this is my number one priority, what are you looking at?
For me, I am looking for not necessarily a defenseman, but probably a defenseman. But I'm looking for someone who can bolster the Oilers' defensive identity. It could be like a shutdown. I don't know what makes a goalie for me.
Could be a defense coach.
Yeah. No, maybe. I think to me, like, obviously you could upgrade the offense and the forwards, but to me, it's pretty clear that the offense is not the problem, and I have a lot of faith kind of in some of these young forwards, that maybe if someone wants to argue that the secondary scoring could be performing more, that there's some options for it to work out. And I think that like some of those internal options are actually what really improves your team more. Like, for example, like Szymanski might get a little run here with the team.
Yeah.
Savoy, like this is one of those guys kind of cementing like a quality contributor in the bottom six is like going to be probably more impactful than most of the forwards that you could add. So yeah, for me, it's either like a shutdown center or a shutdown defenseman. Obviously, that's probably going to play the right side, regardless of which way they shoot. But for me, like hands down, I want someone who's going to help like solidify the defensive identity of the team,
Right.
and create, even just inspire the confidence that that they can rely on that part of their identity more, and if not, just to slot in at the top of these defensive situations and have a trickle-down effect to kind of solidify things. So for me, I'm all focused on that defensive performance. I don't know. How about you? Agree or disagree?
No, I think you're right, because I mean, you look at kind of the goal stuff. The Oilers are fourth in the league in goals for, and then they're definitely not fourth in goals against.
No.
Like, you've got 198 goals for and 194 against. Your bottom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have the sixth most goals against in the league. So yeah, keeping the puck out of the nets is a big deal. And at this point, there's not really going to be anything to improve the goaltending, I don't think. And B, I think you've made the moves. And I think you have to kind of run with it unless someone like Ottinger or whatever becomes available, then sure, but that's not happening. And I think when it comes to the defensive side, it comes back to you need someone who can play with Nurse, and Wallman and Nurse aren't quite there. And I think what you're looking at is finding that top four defenseman to play with Nurse, and then you can put Wallman, Stastny, and Emberson on the other side. And I'm not saying Wallman's as a number 5 defenseman. He's a number 4 defenseman, but like that's the problem, is then you can have that left side of Ekholm, Nurse, and Wallman, which I think was kind of supposed to be the plan, but Emberson's not quite ready still to play with Nurse. I thought they've looked okay, but I think I think you're right. Getting that defenseman is probably huge. I mean, on the forward end, it comes down to deployment again, like we talked about last time for me. If the deployment is more even, if there is that, then I think you're okay. But depending on how the deployment goes, maybe you do need someone else to be able to anchor that third or fourth line or whatever. I don't think you're necessarily looking for a top 6 forward at this point. If one presents itself, sure.
Yeah. People love to bring up.
Yeah, I think Mangiapane going is going to be the biggest thing, because that buys you some cap room and buys you a roster spot. So I don't see the Oilers doing much of anything if and unless they get rid of Mangiapane.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's an obvious like counterbalance salary-wise. I think like a big piece of this puzzle too is just the timing of all of it is like this kind of whatever it is, week and a half is going to be really important for getting a look at some players, and that the break might have helped. So Wallman is one of them, because he's been kind of behind the 8 ball all season with his injuries, and it really hasn't played his best. It could be huge for him to kind of get a fresh start and be on the same page as everyone. Reek is another one where it's the same, and especially like, we're talking like your second pair right D and Wallman, hypothetically, or your 3C in Reek, who's going to be the shutdown center. Is like seeing these guys and how they perform is going to be huge. I mentioned Szymanski as well, and I think that maybe this little stretch is going to be hugely important for him, because it's his first season in North America. He's done really well in the AHL. He's got lots of NHL tools in terms of his size and everything. Like, to get him acclimated, to get him playing well in the AHL, and like right now is the time to he got some boost of confidence from playing in the Olympics. He had a nice little stretch before the Olympics. Like, this is going to be a huge opportunity for, I think, like those 3 players, I think will also change maybe what the Oilers are going to be looking for. Like,
yeah, I mean, Szymanski's back in the AHL, right? So that's kind of,
damn.
Yeah, he got sent down.
No.
I'm sure he'll be back soon enough, but yeah, he's down right now. But it might be again. It's Henry coming back, so you've got him there.
Right.
I mean, the interesting thing is we only have 4 games before the deadline because the Oilers have a game on the deadline, right? Because the deadline is the 6th, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, March 6th. So we have a game on the 6th, but that obviously doesn't play into anything. But yeah, so you only have 4 games, which is 3 in the next, like by Saturday. So 3 in 4 days or whatever. So
what are they really going to show you in that time?
Yeah. And I think, I mean, let's be honest, I'm sure there's been a plan over the break. A plan has already been made that is likely not going to be fully disrupted by a 4-game stretch here.
Right.
But I mean, who knows, obviously. But no, I think you're right that, and it seems like that's what the rumors are coming out, is that Edmonton's now targeting a top 4D. And I can see it. I mean, I think they'll probably, if they're looking at stuff, I'm assuming that's the number one goal. And then I'd assume they're still going to look to bolster the forwards, like in some fashion.
Yeah. There was so much talk this season about like adding a power winger, like McMahon or DeBrusk.
DeBrusk is one that's been coming up, yeah.
Of course. Well, it's like 2 guys who were born in Edmonton. Yeah. No, and obviously, like, I could see how that would help the team. I could see how that would improve the team. But, you know, is it the right thing, you know, for the limited assets and cap space that they have to work with, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough call. Like, I think we've talked about it before that on paper, I don't think this roster is really that bad. And even the decor is pretty good. It's just for whatever reason, they're floundering before the break. Now, does Paul Coffey coming in back behind the bench, does that change things? Maybe.
Right. Maybe, yeah.
Like there was all the, you know, it's interesting because I was looking through like quotes and things from when Coffey was here, like in his first season and whatnot, and all the defensemen like loved him, loved playing for him and everything. And so it'll be interesting to see if that new old voice, new voice, whatever you want to call it, behind the bench is going to spark something in them. In which case, then maybe you're not as hard done to go find a defenseman.
Right. It's a good point. It could kind of like, yeah, especially with the break, there was lots of time to get some practices in as well.
Yeah,
more than any other time in the season, really. Maybe it's an interesting time for Coffey to have joined with that practice time. It really gives it a chance to have some kind of a bigger impact, right?
Totally, yeah.
And to my memory, like a lot of Coffey's thing was like, being encouraging and getting players to kind of use their feet more, especially to attack offensively up the ice and stuff. And the Oilers, they have like a really mobile defense group, you know, like there's not really if we're talking about additions that might help this team, there's not really like a lumbering defensive defenseman. There's no kind of Vinny Desharnais, Golden Parayko, yeah. I mean, like, because even like Nurse, I guess, is the top shutdown guy. At least that's how they use him. He's you know, really more of a two-way defenseman. He's a great skater. He's got, you know, offensive instincts. He's a great skater. He's able to jump up the ice, you know, like able to contribute offensively. Like Ekholm as well has got some offensive flair. I mean, Wallman, obviously. But it's like, yeah, maybe, I mean, by design, clearly the Oilers value having kind of like a very modern style of blue line. So, I mean, and we'll see if they can avoid that.
Like it's a blue line built for that, and Coffey preaches that. I think, yeah, like he's a good fit. We've seen he's a good fit, which is is the hilarious thing. We've seen that he is a good fit and that he can do the job. So it's kind of hilarious that it's like, oh, how's he gonna do? Well, I mean, you know, hopefully he replicates the magic.
It's worked before. It's like a little wild card, you know. When they need him late in the season, just throw him in there. And I'm sure this offseason he'll be back, not behind the bench anymore as well, you know.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you might get fired if you're a coach. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I wonder if that has obviously been the issue is, because there's talk of there being discontent about him coming back and, well, it's your boss.
Yeah.
It's the second in command for the organization, essentially.
I would, much be a special advisor than a coach.
Exactly. So, but who knows? I mean, hey, as long as let's hope it works because it was not working before.
No, I think some of it. Yeah, I think some of it is just that mental reset, the new voice. I think call me poly positive, but we're gonna. I think it's a great time. Coffey coming in at the right time here. I think it's gonna. I have a lot of faith that this Oilers team can be better defensively than they have been so far this season. And we've seen even it's their thing. I mean, we didn't really see the penalty kill lock in until the end last year. And you might argue that the penalty kill, with the amazing run the year before, when it was at its best, is when Coffey was there. And maybe Coffey kind of doing a bit more at the kind of even strength defense might let Mark Stewart kind of hone in a bit more on the PK side. Or, I mean, Henrique was playing his best at that time too. So.
Yeah. No, it's
a good point.
Totally. There's so many moving parts at this point compared to where we were right before the break that you never know what's going to come. Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely be interesting to see how they come out of the gate. It's California starting to become a hard road trip again. So
yeah, for sure.
We looked at that and we're probably like, that's an easy 2 out of 3 wins for sure. Now it's like,
yeah, not so much. We'll see. I mean, the Ducks and the Sharks and the Kings, they're all in the mix for the playoffs. I mean, the Kings, it'll be the first time seeing them with Panarin, right? So
yeah,
it's going to be for the Ducks. Leo Carlsson is back, so that's huge. The Sharks, I mean, you have to think that they're only going to get more dangerous from here on out. Yeah. I mean, you could argue the same thing for the Ducks, but the Kings, maybe not so much.
Yeah, the Kings seem to be the one that are on their way down. Maybe
this might be the last hurrah.
So.
Yeah, so they just got Panarin, but it's Kopitar's last season. I mean, it's an older team.
They just lost
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how Ken, Mr. Green Banana Holland is going to deal with that kind of the Kings are an interesting roster, but this is not Kings talk. Yeah.
No, exactly. This is Edmonton Oilers talk.
I'm so sorry. Can't help myself.
Yeah, it's been a long time and it feels like it's been forever since we've seen Oilers hockey. So
right. Even to familiarize yourself with the standings is a funny exercise of I haven't looked at these in 3 weeks. Yeah. Well, I guess they haven't gone anywhere, but
no, exactly. We just completely forgot about it because we're just watching the Olympic.
I'm sure not many people would guess where in the Pacific the Seattle Kraken are sitting right now.
Yeah. Well, it's like we said right before the break, the sky was falling and everyone's like, this is the worst team ever. And they're second in the division. Again, shitty division, but still just a second in it. So it's not necessarily sky is falling in that sense, but it'll be interesting. I mean, it'll be interesting to see too, how McDavid and Draisaitl come back and how the team comes back from that break. I mean, your heart has to go out to McDavid, frankly. 3 straight, or not 3. I mean, you've got the 4 nations in between it, to be fair. But yeah, I'm sorry, that question he was asked today by a media member. Question itself maybe not super egregious, but to just be like, oh, Crosby and Gretzky did this and you haven't. And I mean, the thing is, he's been hearing that. It's been all over. That's what everyone's take is right now.
Right.
And it's just it's such a stupid take. This guy has won the MVP of the Stanley Cup Finals and the Olympics while coming in second. While his team comes in second.
Right.
You can't, and people point to, the Olympic and the 2 Game 7s in the Stanley Cup Finals, no points, blah, 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 right? At the end of the day, you can't necessarily fault McDavid. you can't say he's not a big game player. In other big games, the Four Nations final and the other playoff series, he's won it in Game 7. He's won it in overtimes. He's done it. He's done all that. So I think it's really unfair, and it's pushing a narrative that doesn't really make sense. And and so like, I don't know. It just bothers me because I think he's a guy who puts so much on himself already, and I think the Oilers need him to be someone who's maybe takes a little bit more, maybe of a relaxed approach, or doesn't feel the need to put it on his shoulders.
Right.
Right.
Like,
And that's what I'm worried about going in. That's why I'm worried about him starting to play immediately again, is taking too much upon himself to prove, to win, to do all this when I think he's already doing, you know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm out of my ass, but like,
I mean, I think like the inconvenient thing to like those clinging to like a clickbait narrative here is that the Four Nations, even though it was like the first of its kind, it was best on best, you know? And I mean, you could argue that, hey, maybe this country wasn't there, but maybe they also weren't at the Olympics. So like, to me, it's kind of like really disingenuous to not count something like the Four Nations, where it's a true best on best tournament, like it's different than the Olympics. It's the same. And
well, especially when you have the two teams in the finals, so the same two teams finals, right? So I think maybe that argument holds sway if like Slovakia or Czech Republic were in the final, then it's like, okay, it's different.
Right.
So yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I don't think you can just fully right away.
Like obviously you can't take the individual success away from him. And like how rare it is for a losing player to win a Conn Smythe trophy, especially if it's not a goalie for a Cinderella team, you know? And then to do it at the Olympics as well. Like obviously our trophies and all the individual stuff is there. And he scored the overtime winner at the Four Nations. He's literally come up in the biggest moments. It's like, oh, we're not going to count that one because it doesn't fit the narrative. I think it's a little bit disingenuous. Obviously, it sucks for Canadian fans or Oilers fans that he's kind of come up on the wrong side of the finals so often. But like, he's also gone there. I'm reminded this conversation is bringing me back to maybe earlier in McDavid's career when the Oilers, they were not making the playoffs consistently. It's like they made it one year and then they didn't the next, you know, it's like, and McDavid was already considered the best player in the world, but people were like, oh, well, you know, he doesn't really elevate his teammates or this or that. It's like, okay, well, how many scrub power forwards are getting paid because of him? He doesn't elevate his teammates. All right. So yeah, I mean, people just like, it's the thing. He's the best player. And if you're not the best player, you would never have these conversations around someone, especially who's performed in the big games the way he has. So it's really, I think it's like a total bunk narrative, you know? And I think it's just people, I don't know, trying to be clickbait or be antagonistic, especially if telling that to him to his face. Like,
it's
okay. Okay, it'd be different if McDavid wasn't one of the greatest all-time playoff performers.
Yes, exactly. Different if he doesn't win the MVP of the tournament. It's different if like, you realize he was 2 points away from tying Canada's all-time leading scorer in points in all all Olympics involving NHL players.
Right.
He was 2 points away from doing that in one Olympics.
Right.
And it's not like it's not like he put up like 18 points against France to make that happen.
Yeah, exactly.
He put 2 points up in every single game of the round robin, at least. Like, so I don't know. And that's why it sucks though, because he's so good and he's gotten so close. And if there's anyone who, you know, deserves to have won at least one of those things, I'd say it's him. Like,
right. I mean, again, I'm arguing the Four Nations is a major win. But maybe we'll stop being hung up on that. The other thing that's come out of this conversation is that, like, back to like the elevating teammates, is like some people are really kind of putting into perspective, well, okay, like if McDavid is getting so much of the offensive opportunities. Like,
Yeah.
how come we're seeing this like trend again where the roster isn't scoring? And I think like we talked about that in a recent episode of just like how many points can you really expect Podkolzin or Mangiapane or Roslovic to get if they're never going to get power play time, if they're never going to get extra attacker time, if they're never going to be deployed in the favorable offensive opportunities. But yeah, I don't think you can say that's McDavid's fault. I think like that's a question for the coach and thinking about how you're going to deploy him, what you're going to do to either lean into that or maybe try to counteract it, So yeah, again, it's not his fault that he's good.
No, and I think, yeah, and it's interesting because you saw that at the Olympics too, something you would not expect on a team like Team Canada. But that was still happening. And you're like, well, you have got John Cooper, arguably one of the best coaches of all time, definitely probably the best coach right now. And he's doing the same stuff too. And it definitely makes you wonder what that process is. And I'm sure it is, it's like us playing NHL on our PlayStations and being like, maybe he's a little bit tired, but I'm going to throw him out because he's 99 and go do it. And, so him at 50% is still better than someone else at 100%. Right. And I really do wonder if there is a little bit of that in there too. It's like, I guess if he is actually scoring on those shifts on a regular basis, then yeah, the strategy is going to work. But as soon as it dries up in any way or he's shut down or anything, you got to adapt. And I think that wasn't happening. It hasn't been happening in Edmonton for a long time now. And I think it wasn't happening in certain circumstances in the Canada games either. I think in the final, it was a little bit better because the team was rolling really well. So they were playing more of the lines. But in the earlier games, I think you could see it where as soon as one of the lines started stuttering, it was McDavid coming out again every second shift kind of thing. So I don't know. Maybe, yeah, it's interesting though. I think that really the fact that Cooper did that when you have literally 4 lines of all-stars, that's still the strategy.
Right. Well, I mean, it was one of the great things about seeing like these best on best tournaments is like seeing all these players on the same ice is like, there's really like, there's the regular all-stars, and then there's just a handful of players that are kind of way above everyone else. And I think like, unfortunately for Canada, I think McKinnon getting hurt and Crosby getting hurt really kind of took 2 of those game breakers away,
yeah, Crosby getting hurt.
It's a really deflated, like McKinnon, I think, obviously, as the tournament went on and he had that kind of like leg injuries, like
right,
you could see he was like just a bit not quite the same, versus the other players who are also really good, but not quite at that level. And there's really not many players in the tournament who were anywhere close to that. And I think that's one of the big advantages that even though Canada didn't win the tournament, I think it was pretty clear that they had the best team out of everyone in the tournament.
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Well, they and that's the problem with the way that final game went is Canada was so dominant in those last 40 minutes. Right. And so like it was like, yes, they were so good. And I was surprised because I thought the US was gonna dominate Canada, like not necessarily on the scoreboard, but I definitely thought the way the US team was constructed,
the flow of
play would be in their favor. And it wasn't. Personally, my thought process on it is in the first period, Canada did get a little bit outplayed. And then they came back in the second and third and were dominant. And I think there was a strategy switch. And I think that strategy switch was realizing that our D-corps could not move the puck outside of Cale Makar. And it was forwards need to get further back and rush up as a unit instead of trying to do an actual breakout. And they did that and it worked. But here's the thing. If you had puck movers, the team would have so many more options and availabilities. And I think, again, I said this before, and so I'm going to go with it again. Josh Morrissey gets hurt. And what happens? Oh, my God. Who is going to pass the puck?
Imagine.
And what happened last year at the Four Nations? Shea Theodore and Cale Makar both are out for a game. Who's going to play the power play? Who's going to pass the puck? And the same thing happened again. And so it's just like, obviously I want Canada to win and I wanted them to win. And the thing is this loss going to make them look at their roster any differently for the next, the World Cup in 2 years or whatever? Probably not, because they didn't learn from last year when they won. But like, it's stupid decisions like that. And then even Crosby getting hurt, where's a game breaker like Bedard now? Like who's your third game breaker after McKinnon and McDavid? I guess Celebrini. But you know what I mean? Like it's Canada's had such a good game and they didn't win, and they could have had an even better team, and maybe that ends up being the difference, right? But it's hard to say that when they did dominate so well in the second and third.
Yeah.
So it's a tough thing to say, but I still think I think that the roster construction was flawed from the beginning. I think it got exposed especially the 2 rounds before, like the quarters and the semis. Like, we should have dog walked both Czech Republic and Finland, and they're good teams. Don't get me wrong, but Canada should have dog walked. Like, they already did it to Czech Republic in the first game. So that's my little rant about how people should use common sense when constructing a team, and you have every single player available to you.
Right.
Not naming names, but
it's not like this wasn't the exact same conversation after the Four Nations when the victory was there. Yeah. I mean, my comment about Canada being the better team, it was more to do hey, obviously the US has a great team, but if you played a 7-game series, I think
well, and again though, that's where I'm not sure. That's where I'm not so sure. We have that good game. The next game, we lose that game. Okay, it's a 7-game series. We lose that game 1 that way. Is the second game, maybe the States has the confidence and they come out harder, and then we don't have I don't know. I think in a 7, I think it would probably go to 7 games, but I'm not so confident that it would be a victory for Canada over a 7-game series with those rosters. That's my I think the roster construction over the long run, when you look at the way the defense moves the puck on both rosters, is you've got the goaltending advantage for the States already. You have the puck moving advantage from the blue line for the States. It's just the fact that Canada has generational talents on their forward that gives them that. So I don't know if I think if it's a 7-game series with the teams playing exactly the way they did in that game, yes, Canada wins that in 5. But it's not necessarily, that's not how a 7-game series works.
Yeah, well, I suppose we'll never know. Unfortunately.
I'm hoping that, there's karma or whatever you want to call it, and balance with the force and blah, blah, blah. So I'm last 3 years, McDavid's had these, 2 cup losses, Olympic loss. And then now, we've got another stretch run of World Cup, and then the Olympics as well. Maybe now McDavid goes on a run and wins, wins 2 Stanley Cups and wins an Olympic medal, but maybe loses the World Cup. Maybe that's how it's going to balance out. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think that, I mean, back to your point of McDavid having maybe more pressure on himself. I don't know. I think he's just such a motivated person in a way. And then you see with the players that we are talking about, the Crosby, McKinnon, Celebrini, even, it's there's an insatiable, relentless nature to their competitiveness.
Do you think Crosby sticks around now until 2030? Just
maybe
one last Olympic race?
Honestly, I don't know why we don't think he could do it anyways. I mean, what has ever shown us that he's got one foot out the door? He's still such a great player, still so intense. And I think if anyone, if anyone's going to be just a great player in their early 40s, well, I mean, why not him, man?
No, that's totally true. I mean, he's been a point per game player still every year, 90 points each of the last 3 seasons.
Right. And it's not necessarily that it's a physical dominance. Maybe, I mean, at such an elite level, it's hard to treat players like they're going to be on regular aging curves.
Yeah.
But, it's some of the things that you worry about with normal players where, if they're really fast, are the wheels going to go and then there's nothing left, anyways, I think that the players that we are talking about, the Crosbys, the McDavids, the McKinnons, they could probably play longer and age more gracefully than and the players that do last. Like if you think about Yager, like there's an element of Crosby there where like they're obsessed with the game. They're probably just working out all the time.
Well, and like more cerebral of a player too.
Right. Like they're both super strong, like lower body, you know, and is able to like, you know, even if the speed was gone, Yager was still killing it, you know, still effective. He's put up some like really good seasons at the tail end of his career, even though he wasn't, you know, one of the greatest players in the world anymore. Yeah.
No, exactly. Yeah. No, I think you're right. And I think, Crosby likely will be playing. And if he's playing, obviously he's on that roster regardless.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, well, people say these days, like, whatever, he's got that dog in him. So I think it's like, it's part of the thing of what, like, this class that we're talking about makes them so great. That kind of X factor.
Yeah.
And I think that, back to your comments, so that McDavid has shown that he has that X factor. Even though we can cherry pick like these 2 Game 7s and this one gold medal game, but also not counting that other one, or also not counting the Game 7s on the way to the Cup final, and also not counting the Cup final games. Okay. So we get it. What like Sunday Night Football stat is this? Like he's never won on the 16th of any month. Yeah,
exactly.
He's 0-4 in his career. Like whatever, man. It's funny. That's funny, but yeah, it reminds me of some research articles that I've done in the past, like leading into the playoffs for McDavid and Draisaitl, and I'm not going to remember like the specific thresholds and stats here, but it's like of players that have a certain amount of points in the regular season. If you take their points per game, regular season versus playoffs, like the delta change between the regular season production and playoff production is like they're kind of in a class of their own, those two, even maybe a handful of other players with them. But you think about like great players who are known for being clutch playoff performers like Danny Briere. Like it's not close, let alone like the production that they have to maintain or surpass in the playoffs is a higher bar to start with. But like, yeah, McDavid and Draisaitl, absolutely incredible. I think to suggest that they're not clutch or that they don't help their team win is like losing the plot. We'll say. It's trying to be controversial and inflammatory.
It's I mean, it was interesting. I can't find it right now, but I did see it was like the top 2 and whatever the fancy stats were, the top 2 like chances for players in the tournament were McDavid and Draisaitl. It's just like, oh yeah, so even on the world stage, the 1 and 2. So
yeah, it's good that Draisaitl had a little break, I guess. It was
right.
Yeah. I saw people kind of being critical of his tournament. Like, okay.
I gotta love, you gotta love the always a bride, never a bridesmaid from Tkachuk, and it's like, it's Tkachuk. I mean, Tkachuk had 6 assists in the tournament. Draisaitl had 7 points. Draisaitl's playing for Germany.
Right.
It's
playing a lot. The Germans. I was definitely excited for them. They didn't have the depth. I think Switzerland we saw perform a bit better. They were a bit deeper of a team. So, yeah. Oh well, maybe next time. But I'm sure like it was great. It's great to see some kind of like new hockey nations kind of emerging as traditional powers, and they're going to have some staying power here. So
like it's totally. I think they're on the way up. But the depth was what got them, shot them in the foot, I guess. Don't know if there's anything else you want to talk about.
I don't know either. Just watching a game right now. Some potential. I can't say on here. Leafs Lightning. Ekman Larson. Potential Oiler trade target.
Maybe.
I mean, he's a really good player. He's a really good player.
Yeah, he's been pretty good since he left Vancouver.
Yeah, he's got a nice cap hit. It's a nice contract.
Could work.
He's like earlier in his career, he was more like of an offensive guy, and he still has some good puck skills, enough that the Oilers might like him. But
yeah,
I mean, he might be an interesting partner for Nurse because he does play his weak side really comfortably.
Yeah.
His transition defense is really good, and I think that's kind of it starts to kind of look like a really interesting Nurse partner when you combine those things of like, hey, he can help Nurse with some of the passing, be an outlet. He can help Nurse with some of the entry defense, and he appreciates Nurse kind of like more rugged in zone play.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting. We'll see. We'll see what the Leafs do. Who knows?
I mean, are they buying? Are they're selling? Like,
yeah. Who knows? This is. It's not King's talk. It's not Leafs talk.
No.
That's their problem.
I'm just looking at going back to the whole Tkachuk thing. 5 of Matthews' points came in the preliminary round.
Right.
His only point in the medal rounds, or not the medal rounds, the knockout rounds, was an assist in a 6-2 win over Slovakia. So, that's...
See, that this is an elite player who I guess won the big one, and now it's all well and dandy. Or
I mean, listen, it was on the fourth goal when it was 4-0. So like huge goal.
Oh yeah,
huge player, definitely
coming up big in the big moments.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, it's such a like really short-sighted, dumb narrative for like hockey, where it's not only like so much about your team, but also so random. That like I don't know. It's not like NBA, or it's not like a quarterback, or it's like,
well, it's just like, I mean, it just takes, like, in the final this year, like Hellebuck just plays out of his mind. Like that save on tape.
Right.
Arguably one of the greatest saves of all time.
Yeah. I think they're probably from the Olympics, like one player who like really changed the narrative about their career as a whole. Yes. Hellebuck is probably number one on that list of like, he's had his playoffs have been bad, but he's had some all right performances in there too. I know maybe the bar is higher because he's been so great in the regular season. He's won so many Vezinas, but like for him to just like have like a huge statement game and really be like the reason that his team won in such a pressured environment, like, that really kind of, I think, if more than any player from the Olympics, like, changed the entire narrative of their career, it's probably him.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. He played amazing, and he definitely like changed up like that narrative. So good on him for sure.
Right. And I mean, because he did have like we are talking about some elite players who actually have maybe a bit more legitimate cases that are they big game players. Austin Matthews and Connor Hellebuck, and I don't know how much. I mean, whatever. I can barely even entertain this conversation. Did we forget about the Four Nations last year? And can one game change like what people think about you?
I mean, in this day and age, that's the short attention span, I guess, maybe, but
like, you're just being a little shift disturber. Whatever it is.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us again for another episode of the TORP, the post-Olympic break episode. And hopefully we'll see you guys soon, and we'll be talking about how good the Oilers have been doing and how great that trade acquisition at the trade deadline will be. Is there anything else to say?
Should I say bye too? Bye. And also bye, but from me.
Greg has something very important to say.